Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I do see a lot of attendees who have joined in. I believe this topic has attracted many of you people to join in for the session. But anyways, um, as per the schedule, we just jump in. So before I start, myself, Pranav, from the product management team of VMware, and with me as a co-organizer, I have Mr. Manigan as well. So he's from the same team, and to start on with, there's a ground rules for this webinar where you would only be in the listen only mode, and if you have any questions you can just post it up on the Q&A box that is nearby. And with me, I will also be having one of my senior member who takes care of the compliance related, and he's the IT admin of the whole VMware team, who takes care of the compliances, and he is a well knowledgeable person with compliances. So all your question and answers would be addressed. If you have any, you can just post it up in the Q&A box, and that would be addressed by Mr. Gopal. As said, he is a senior member of our team. As an IT admin, he takes care of the compliances, as well as I have Manikandan, or anything related to backup and recovery, he'll be taken care of. So with this team at my end, we're going to jump in to look deep into what this compliance says. So I believe everyone can see my screen. I have shared it accordingly. So this live webinar is totally up to I would say it's an educational oriented one, where we are going to discuss, or maybe like I'm going to say something related to compliance ready backups with BDRShield. So how is that? BDRShield is going to help you with this. So we are talking about the best practices to secure your data, ensure the resilience of your data, and how to provide an audit-ready data protection, so that you don't have to check things up with your consultant each and every time. So this is something that we are going to talk in this session. Okay, so without much further ado, I do have a set of new attendees who have joined in. So for them to introduce about BDRShield. So BDRShield is a comprehensive backup and disaster recovery platform with a centralized web-based console with which you can try taking a backup of your virtualized environment like VMware, Hyper-V, KVM, Proxmox over it. You can back up your servers and endpoints of Windows, Linux, and Mac. Ensure protection for your cloud platforms or the SaaS applications as such shown here. And you can also protect your databases. That's something important. So you can protect your databases granularly using the SQL backup, Postgres, MySQL, and Oracle database. And you can also secure your storage systems like NASA file shares or any file servers on that spot. So all these are something that can be protected via BDRShield, one single console to manage all your stuffs. So this BDRShield is a product by VMware, and we are from Team VMware who is presenting this session for you to believe and expose you how our BDRShield ensures protection to your data or to your workloads. So on that note, now we are going to talk about some detailing why this webinar comes into picture in the month of July. Obviously, like compliance is something that everyone would be interested into, because compliance is a part which most of the people would not agree with, or there's something called as people don't immediately comply, or they have a doubt whether they comply with. So this webinar is to give you an overview on that, and this webinar correctly at this time of the month is because we have been seeing a number of stakes here. Okay, so the stakes have never been higher. Like there's 93% of ransomware attacks that has been going through. And I have a great laws, as you know, like IBM record of 2024, which literally costs up to $4.9 million dollars. You have 78 to 80 percentage of compliance pressure now, where most of the IT leaders cite with the production drivers, and there's basically there's an average time of 11 days to recover the data. So this has brought down heavily on us. I would say, this take of time to restore a data will never be acceptable at all. Okay, so on that note, I just wanted to bring with a key detailing saying that compliance begins with recoverability. When you are able to take a backup, you must be able to restore your data or recover your data, and it should not be costing you a higher recovery time. In that case, if you're going with a higher recovery time, then I would say you don't comply with any of the international standards. Fine. In our last slide, we were discussing about what were the stakes, and the too much of recovery time obviously ensures that you're not complying with your international compliances. Okay, so on that note, as some detailing about the modern data protection challenges. So what are the challenges that you're going to face through? It is not a simple challenge, but this is specifically to data protection, my dear friend. So if there is encryption that is happening to your primary data and backups, because most of the ransomware attacks are now targeting the backups instead of the source machines. So they are, the ransomware hackers are very well versed in tracking down the backup data. So on that note, ransomware attacks are becoming a bigger threat. Okay, so that is why we say this as a compounding threat. So there are some ransomware attacks to the backups, a human error of deletion or misconfiguration of the backups. Then you have the hardware failures, like the storage part. There is any hardware failures happening to your backup data, and you take a backup. So that's the one set of insider threat, I would say. And there's a complexity of exposure when you have a hybrid and multi-cloud, so and that is not protected properly. So it literally brings up a complexity, and that proven ensures threat as well. And the data growth, all of a sudden data growth happening, where your storage gets over occupied, and you have to find an additional storage to it, breaking your banks. That's something that is happening around. And the compliance pressure. So that's some, the demands that are documented, variable controls. These are some of the pressures that create, or I would say, the threats that create at a data for the backup data at a risk. So these are the major one, I would say. I won't say this is like a simpler one, it's just a major one. Now, I haven't started the main core of the webinar. I'm just giving you the overview why this webinar has to print in as of now, okay? Why we are talking about this. So most breaches here are, identified only after a set of data loss. So in that case, having a backup data which is more resilient is your last line to ensure business continuity. Okay, so on that note, let's see why compliance requires a modern backup strategy. Okay, so we were talking about this webinar is going to talk about the compliance ready backups with BDRShield. Now BDRShield is a backup solution. So what is that a modern backup strategy should hold on general to ensure compliance? Okay, so that is what we are going to discuss now. Why is that backup a bigger importance in compliance? or how is it gaining its importance in compliance? In that note, we have 5 pillars. Okay, so this framework rests on 5 pillars that ensures backup is must for your activity or the compliance. Okay, the first one is to protect the data from unauthorized modification to ensure the integrity. So this is where your integrity comes in. Okay, so when you have a data backed up, it ensures the integrity. It ensures confidentiality. This is to restrict the access to unauthorized parties via your backup software. So you don't without an access, you can't restore your data. You can't see what data you have taken a backup. So that's something confidentiality that any backup solution should hold. And your backup solution is very important that it has to ensure recoverability of your data. Whatever the data that you have taken a backup, it should be recovered, or retention. So this recoverability, I agree, but how long, what sort of data and how long years of data that you need to recover, and how are you going to plan that in your, as per your SLA, a company SLA. Now, people may require 1 month of data. People may require 3 months of data. So if something is lost, they can just go back and restore a data which is 3 months old. Maybe that data might not be live as of now, but still some data they already have taken a backup and should be able to restore. So that's part of the retention. And then you have the availability. So that data which I'm gonna restore should be available for me. Okay, so on this note, I would say now, just give me a minute. I can use a pointer here. So this availability and this recoverability will go hand in hand, because these both are similar. Only when the data is available, you will be able to recover. So that is going hand in hand. Okay, so that's most obvious in a backup solution. And when we talk about this confidentiality, it's about end-to-end encryption. I totally agree. End-to-end encryption is very important. And another one is role-based access control, or maybe like multi-factor authentication, whatsoever. Who is the right person to restore the data? Okay, am I giving the access to the right person to restore the data? Because this is something confidential. Backup data is something confidential, so it has to be ensured with confidentiality. So that role-based access control along with encryption is very important. Okay, this is for a general backup solution. And then what about integrity? How do I check whether my data is secured, or the data which I've taken a backup is integrated? It's with integrity. When I restore, I should not see any corruption of data or overlap of data. So what ensures that? Well, taking a backup. So this is the integrity. So how integrity your data is. Okay, so once I take a backup, there should not be any unwanted changes happening into that backup data. So it should not disrupt my backup data. So on the time of recoverability, I should not be going blank. Okay, that's the major integrity that we need to check upon. And this integrity and retention is something you have to keep up to your SLA. Okay, now integrity of the data, yes, sure, that can be ensured, but how long that data has to be kept? Okay, that's something as per your norms of your company. Okay, so all these 5 pillars, I would literally name them as IC R2A. Okay, so this I to R2A is something a backup solution would ensure. So that is about integrity, confidentiality, recoverability, availability of the data, and retention. So all these comes into one picture, and this is the major one that will satisfy your compliances like ISO, NIST, SOC, the latest DPDP, HIPAA, everything, any international compliance or the latest widely spoken DPDP Act compliance or something, this backup solution should have, okay, any backup solution for that matter. So that is why this is the 5 major pillars that you need to concentrate on. I just said about a general compliance, detailing. Now, how is that landscape and what are the common audit findings? So when you go into a audit finding, a technical audit finding, what all the things they claim up to, okay? So let's talk about the framework supported by the backups first, a general backups, not specific to BDRShield, because this is something which is specific to BDRShield. I'll cover it in the upcoming slides. Now we are discussing about the general compliances, how the backup should ensure, okay? Now in ISO 27001, this is completely based on the management of information security, okay? This NIST and CSF, it's about identity, protection of data, detection of any malware or attack, on recoverability, okay? That's about NIST CSF. SOC 2, you have the security that talks about the security of the data, availability of the data, and how confidential that data is, okay? This SOC 2 talks about that. You have GDPR and DPDP in general talking about data protection and privacy. That's not anything more specific, but it is in general. And then you also have HIPAA and PCI DSS. HIPAA is completely for the healthcare businesses, and PCI DSS is completely on the payment gateway. Okay, so in all these frameworks of compliances, you would see most of these 5 pillars which we discussed in our previous slide to be applying. Okay, so all that availability, integrity, all that comes into this. This is what these frameworks are talking about. So literally, when a backup solution is able to have all these, the 5 pillars which I said, it will obviously comply with any of the international standards. Okay, there's nothing like using a backup solution would certify your compliances. No. Backups will support you to comply with the general compliances or the regulations. They don't certify you with the compliance. It enables you that your data is available. Okay, so this is what I wanted to say as an important point, but I'll still continue to give some inputs on it. Now there are some major ones like common audit findings. Okay, so this is like a recent audit findings that we came across from multiple customers and multiple partners. So those are listed here. The failed backups, which is undetected for weeks. These are, this is a heavy thing that auditors or the customers has reported when they are using a backup solution. So for that matter, they have shifted to use our backup solutions as well. So failed backup, then no proper recovery testing. That is, see, this recovery drill is something that is mandatory and has to be ensured by the user or the partner who's taking care of it. So if the backups are never validated, then at the time of a disaster, you can't, you literally have to cross your fingers. If it's recorded properly, no problem. If it is not, then you literally have to cross your fingers. Please ensure that your integrity of the data as well as recoverability of the data is something which is very important. So you have to ensure on that with your backup solution. Missing of reports, no proper retention. They just keep 1 week of retention, but they want to restore data which is 1 month before, which they have lost. With 1 week of retention, they can't, right? So that is about the weak retention policies and the regulations that they have. When that is not properly, documented. So we also have a poor documentation on that. So what about the backup frequency, the retention policy? This is something which needs to be documented. Okay, so that's the main playbook that you should have. And what type of backup that you're going to ensure for each of the critical systems, that is also very important. So both the retention and the documentation of that should go hand in hand. Okay, no proper encryption. If there is your backup of data which is not properly encrypted, then your integrity is coming into a question mark. Okay, and no proper immutable storage. My dear friends, like this integrity, when I say, it also points to immutable storage. If your data is, your backup data can be accessed or it can be overwritten, then there's no point in having the data. You can't claim that your data is secure. Okay, so you should have a part of your data in an immutable storage. Immutable storage is generally acting with a warm principle, which ensures like write once, read many. You can just write the data once and it can't be altered or deleted. Okay, but you can read it many times. So you can even recover it many times, but your source data is secured. Okay, these are the common audit findings. The reason that I have both these sections in one slide is because I want to prove it up that the 5 pillars, the importance of 5 pillars in a a compliance, and what all the common audit findings or failures that we see across, okay, with our customers and partners that we deal with. So these are the daily situations that is happening. Okay, and that is why I'm bringing this to your picture. Okay, now we talked about what are all the the problems in complying with, and what is very important, the 5 pillar concept which I said about. So that is how would you comply with an international standard. Any backup solution should have those 5 pillars. So that's something that we were discussing in the last. Now, how to ensure a backup is compliant, or I would say these are some of the best practices for a compliance ready backups, either of the way. Okay, so they're literally around 8 characters. These 8 characters were something which comes from those 5 major pillars which we were discussing in our previous slides. Okay, now immutability, which is something which is very important, because that is one of the common findings in audit. So immutability is very important. So you should have immutable storage, or have your data written to an immutable storage. Backup data written to an immutable storage is very important, because you will prevent it from any of the hackers to tamper the data. Okay, that's very important. The next one is there should not be any human error. So every single backup should be an automated one. So it should be like set and forget. Automatically it should be taking a backup. So that should be automated. Next, before I restore, I should ensure this data which I've taken a backup is something that is with integrity, and I'm able to restore it. Either you can perform a restore drill, or you can ensure data integrity check. That's something, the verification that you can ensure. And monitoring. When you take a backup across your environment, you should ensure there is a real-time monitoring. Like if there is any failures, you should catch it up immediately and able to restore the data, right? So monitoring is something which is very important across your devices when you take a backup, and that backed up data should be in a position to restore. So it should ensure the integrity as well. And then I'll come back to the reporting later. But the next one is, when I am talking about this, the backup should be encrypted. So this immutability, I said, yes, your data should also be encrypted, both at the flight as well as at the rest. Only then it will ensure the backup gets in compliance with the international standards. You should be, when you're ensuring verification, you should be able to recover your data. If you have to recover your data which is past time over, then you should ensure that you have a proper retention methodology. Okay, like even the grandfather's others, and 1 month of data, 1 year of data you want to restore, now you should have that data in your hand, your backup data. So that is ensured by retention, and that will provide you free recovery at times. And all these, when done, should be properly captured and added as a report. Okay, so when a auditor comes in to check, the tech auditor is going to check on your backups. He is going to check on the reports first. He'll check whether the backups have been taken so far, or the restores have been done properly. Is there any missed backup jobs? This is where first they'll touch hands up. If the reports are weak, all other things, even if they are going to perform good, it's not going to matter for them. Okay, so reporting is very important, and multiple stages of report is important. When you take a backup, a proper backup report should be there. Both as a multiple views should be available for that backup report. You should have the recovery report. Even if you're having an offsite replication, you should ensure that offsite replicated reports are properly maintained, and whomsoever is accessing the the console, the backup console, even that log should be maintained properly. So if there is any changes that is made to the backup job that you have already created, that audit log is a proof that shows who has changed and what has changed and when it has changed. Okay, so that reporting is very important. So these 8 characteristics in a backup solution will ensure your data is compliant. Okay, that's very important. So these are the main best practices for a backup solutions to hold. Okay, now that I have explained about the what are the main pillars of compliance with a backup, and how should the previous one, let's come back again, like why this backup is very important for a compliance. That 5 pillars of backups that directly support is what we discussed, and we were talking about some of the common audit findings, and those pillars which I said how would directly ensures the compliance as a landscape. And then the 8 these are the 8 characteristics a backup solution should have, a modern backup solution should have. This is a 8 best practice actually a backup solution to have to ensure that they are compliant. And on the other hand, now we are going to see how the BDRShield comes into the picture of this. Okay, now mapping the best practices, which whatever we have discussed previously, how BDRShield helps to satisfy this. Now you are into the exact the webinar title. Now having a 3-2-1 backup policy, this strategy will ensure multiple copies of the data, and you can also have an immutable copy that in your immutable storage. So that's something very important. That's the industrial standard. See, these are general best practices along with the industrial standards I explained here, and how is BDRShield capable of it is it's something that we have described here. So in this case, the best practice here is previously it was 3-2-1 backup policy, like 3 copies of your data in 2 different storage mediums and 1 to be an offsite copy. But now it is literally 3 copies again, 2 different storage mediums, 1 offsite copy and 1 is immutable copy. They can also call that as AGA copy with 0 error alerts. Okay, that's something that is very important. That's a strategy that will satisfy your immutability as a best practice. So does BDRShield have it? Yes. BDRShield also support immutable storages, both object storage, even the Linux hardened storage is also supported as an immutable storage with the BDRShield. Next, how do you protect every workload? Do you protect every workload? Because it's not something that only one should have. No, there should not be no gaps for some of the entities or workloads that is not being protected. So as far as BDRShield is concerned, we protect or help you to protect the physical environment, virtual environment, your SaaS applications, your cloud workloads, all that can be protected. Okay, at least not as an image, we'll at least protect with a file or folder level. Okay, fine, that's something in general. What about the security of the backup data. Is your backup data secure? Because this is a major point in whatever we have discussed so far. Yes, what is that industrial standard they ask for? They're asking for encryption. Obviously, compression also will play a major role, and the access. I mean, who can access it to ensure the integrity? So with BDRShield, we have AES 256-bit algorithm to encrypt your data both at the flight as well as at the rest. You can ensure an air-gapped copy, which is similar to immutable storage, which I mentioned here. You have role-based access control and multi-factor authentication to log into your BDRShield console. Okay, so all these are available here. Apart from this, BDRShield uses its own patented file system. Okay. So that patented file system is called as VMware Hive. So this patented file system, though the data, backup data is encrypted, compressed, both at the flight and at the rest, the data is taken at the block level at the backup site, but it will be broken down in the form of chunks and it will be stored. So without the product of VMware, no one can restore your data and no one can read through what data that you have taken a backup. It is in our own file format. So that is an added layer of security that ensures your data is more secure. No one can read through. Like maybe I can talk about a situation where hacker hacks through, he takes a primary copy of your backup data, which you have taken backup with the BDRShield. And when he tries to open and see what data that you have taken a backup, he can't see it because the data is dissipated. It is something in the form of chunks and it is all encrypted. He can't see what data that you have taken a backup. When you have a copy of that backup data, even if he demands for a ransom, you can say, you can just have that copy, no issues. I have a backup copy to continue with your business. Okay, so that is where your 3-to-1 backup strategy also comes in. So with that data, the hacker will not be able to perform any activity. You can't expose anything. So it is well that secure, just not AES 256 or a lazy Z compression would we rely on. We rely on a patented file system that is built by VMware itself, named as VMware Hive. So the data with us is very much secured, secure backup data. Now, regarding the retention policies, as a backup solution, we help you to retain your data for any longer period of time. So we do support GFS mode of retentions, grandfather, father, son mode of retention. So you can schedule it accordingly. It can be a daily or weekly or monthly or yearly compliance with your tagging. So you can decide how many versions of the data, backup data, that you want to retain in your storage, because that's something that you will be managing at. Okay, more the retention, obviously your storage will be high. Okay, so you plan the retention accordingly. You can ensure that your storage is within your limits. Okay, next, recoverability. Ensuring the recoverability, like validate your recoverability, like conducting drills, DR drills, or automated verification. So in BDRShield, we have a 3-tier automated backup verification, majorly for image level backups, where we perform the backup data will be mounted, booted, and the boot screen of the data will ensure the integrity of your data. Okay, this is an automated process. I'll show you in the demo. While doing a demo, I can show you where that automation can be ensured. Okay, this is the automated backup verification we have. We also provide instant recovery. See, recoverability means not just like, for example, if you need a data immediately to ensure business continuity, and you're only able to recover your data after 5 hours or 6 hours, that's going to be huge level of downtime. So on that, to cut short on that, you should have some instant recover options. So in here in BDRShield, we'll ensure an RTO less than 15 minutes. You can instantly boot it up as a virtual machine, or you can perform when you have taken an image-based backup, you can even perform a disk mount check to restore any particular file or folder that is required. Even a granular recovery at times would be more easier for you to run your business. Okay, so those instant recoveries are something that BDRShield provides you with. So it validates your recoverability. Continuous monitoring, my dear friends, this BDRShield is as I said, it's a one single window that will have a clear dashboard. It will give you a compliance, the consolidated view of all things that is happening at the backend side as well as restore side and even the DR side. All that will be seen from one single window, and it's a web-based window. But that is what is mentioned here. Like BDRShield provides an unified dashboard with email alerts, audit-ready reports, like audit logs is available with us. You will also have some of the detailing more in depth that helps you to comply. Like even we can provide the the original size of the data as well as the compressed size of the data, everything in our reports. So that gives you a clear advantage of helping you to 100% pass through your compliance test. Okay, so all those best practices, when you're wrapping up with BDRShield, we have some features that ensures this modern backup solution will ensure you to comply with the international standards. Clear? So that's something that we have in Tide. Next, talking about the generality, I've explained those best practices there. Now, all those best practices would how would it satisfy this compliance framework? All these compliance framework like GDPR, DPDP, ISO, SOC 2, Sarbanes-Oxley, there are a lot more. HIPAA, how does how a backup supports these regulatory and compliance requirements? That is what it is listed here. Now, as per Indian DPDP Act 2023, because this is something that majorly most of the people talk about, most of the expectation is consent-based processing. Okay, so who is processing the data? That is very important. Backup data, that is very important, because that is where the immutability also plays a major role. Okay, data principal rights, breach notification. If there is any breach, that is should be notified. Next, cross-border transfer controls. Your data should not be taken away from the Indian region. That's one of the requests. Okay, so obviously these are something that is ensured with the BDRShield, because as I said, consent-based is with role-based access control. You can control who is accessing your backup data, and only when you provide them with recoverability privilege, they can restore their data. Otherwise, they can't see they can't restore your data. They can just see the reports. Multi-factor authentication, then who has to log in to that console, backup server console? That's something that you can have. So this is consent-based processing here. And we also have this consent based on the encryption. So once your data is encrypted, you can add your own password to encrypt your data over the encrypted data. So without that password, no one can restore your data. They can't delete the backup job from the backup server, or they can't edit and change another password for that. Okay, that's the encryption. Once you forget that password, obviously, it's literally like your data can't be recovered, but your data is secure. Okay. Immutable storage, centralized monitoring, all these are something that we have discussed. Now, all these are something that we have already discussed in our previous slide, but we'll talk about the major framework and what they expect from backup and recovery. In GDPR, the right to erasure, like any user, he says that he wants to delete his identity or his data, then he has the right to erase the data. And if there is a breach, a 72-hour breach notification is very important. So all these are very important. Now, my dear friends, I have something to say on this part regarding the GDPR, which even the DPDP Act claims. Now, if, for example, let's consider you are an organization, and the organization is trying to take a backup of their users, all their user laptop or whatsoever. And when the user leaves the company or the organization, he requires to delete his data, whatever he has claimed so far. The organization or the user's data, or maybe you can even take it as a hospital, they delete the identification of the user. But is that delete will also delete the previous records of the whatever they have taken a backup? No, it doesn't do like that. It doesn't go like that. Okay, the previous records, because later, if for any investigation that particular user's data is important, then you should be in a position to restore the data. So whatever the data they have taken a backup previously will stay as such, but once a user leaves his organization, that identity of the user from any of the reports can be deleted, which will be followed in aftermath, not on the pre-math, but post-math it can be deleted. Okay. Now, HIPAA is again like personal confidentiality, access control, contingency planning, all these are ensured. So that's with AES 256-bit algorithm, encryption, role-based access control, the disaster recovery, multiple recovery options, all these will ensure whatever the HIPAA is asking for. ISO, SOC, and PCI DSS, they all will talk about data, accessibility, confidentiality, and protection of the data. So those are all again managed with automated backups, proper reporting, immutable storage, encryption of the backup data, having the data in an immutable storage or immutable copy or air gap copy. All these are something that is managed by the BDRShield itself. So literally, if you could see, the compliances will be following in a same principle, that whatever the 5 principles which I was talking in before. So that's the 5 principles. Those 5 principles are repeatedly spoken by the compliance framework, but in different languages. But every compliance is all the same. Okay, so that's why I've clearly given different regulations as per the region, but they have the same objective. That objective is to protect the backup, to protect their data, ensure the availability of the data, preserve the integrity of the data, whatever that you have taken a backup, enable the recovery of the data when it is not available, and should have a proper accountability of the data. Okay, so this is what the objective, the main objective for all these regulations mean to. Okay, fine. Now, so far we have discussed what is on general term, what should backup solution should possess, any backup solution should possess when it has to comply with international standards. And we saw on that note, a backup solution like BDR, how is it directly helping you out to comply with the international standards? That's something that we saw. Now, when you are building a compliance ready data protection strategy, or maybe like I would say a backup strategy with BDRShield or without BDRShield, whatever it is, the point is what all you need to check upon. Okay, these are the questions that you need to ask yourself or validate before you're selecting a backup solution. So you should check whether all your workloads are protected through automated backups. Okay, because there should not be any human error. Everything should be automated. So it is better you have to check that if there is any automated backup available in a backup solution. And you have to check whether that backup solution provides you with encryption both at the flight as well as at the rest. You need to check or ensure whether that particular backup solution enables you to have immutable data or air-gapped copies, or you can also call it as immutable backup copies, to cut short on the ransomware attacks. Okay, that's something important. Next, is that backup solution helping you to align with your company SLA of holding or retaining that backups for a longer period of time. So that is very important. So you should be in a flexible way to decide and retain those backup data. So retention policies, is it flexible? That you have to check. Then, is that backup solution that you're going to check or you're looking into gives you enough support to prepare yourself for an audit? Okay, based on logs or reporting or notifications or alerts, have that backup solution, has that backup solution have this feasibility to do that, feasibility or the feature to do that? That's very important. And is a backup solution provides you with a centralized monitoring control to continuously monitor your status or the health of the backup, or in order to check the integrity. So does that backup solution provide that? That is very important, that you need to ensure. Next, does that backup solution help you to test the recoverability, like perform recoverability drill? Does that backup solution provide you that feasibility? You need to ensure on that. Now, how quickly the backup solution helps me to bring back my business at the time of a disaster? Like, what is the RTO objective? What is the RPO? So can I freely determine that in that backup solution? That's something that is very important. RPO and RTO objectives are very important when you choose a backup solution. These are the main, questions that you have to ask before you are building a compliance-ready backup solution strategy. So with BDRShield, you can satisfy all those compliances, all those questions that I raised. One, you can have a secure backup infrastructure. So it means like all your critical workloads are, secured, and it is with an automated backup solution that you can ensure. And monitoring, regarding the continuous monitoring, this will match with the centralized management. Having a centralized management will have me, I would say, like, it'll give me an hawk's eye view of the continuous monitoring of the backup data. I can monitor the restores. I can have a complete check on my reports. All that are possible. And retention, I have a flexible retention policy that will ensure to meet the business RPO and RTOs as well. Ransomware protection, immutable backups. I do support immutable backups with multiple copies of the backup data to be retained. Comprehensive reporting. For my audit-ready preparation, I have a comprehensive reporting and rapid recovery. At times of disaster, I can ensure, within a lesser RTO, I can restore my data and ensure that I'm back with a business continuity. So these are something that is standardized and satisfied with the BDRShield. So that is why I have the questions along with the answers with the BDRShield. Okay. Now, since we are moving to the end of the thing, I just wanted to, talk about the key takeaways. What is that you take away from this webinar? The key takeaways. One, the major one is the compliance is more than a backup. Okay, backup is only a tool that help you to comply with the standards. Okay, but you need to comply. So it is that, as per the modern rules and regulations, any organization has to protect, retain, monitor, recover, and please make sure it is govern the critical data. Okay, so you have to govern the critical data, not by just giving a backup. It doesn't ensure that your data complies with the international standards. Backup solution should provide you with all that feasibility. Okay. Then resilience, my dear friends, like I would like to point out on this detailing. Okay, resilience. Before I talk about resilience, please note on this point, cyber security prevents cyber attacks, but cyber resilience is the one which will ensure business continuity. Okay. Even if the prevention fails, it has to ensure your business continuity. So cyber attacks may happen or may not, but cyber resilience is very important. Now, on that note, check on this point. Recovery defines resilience. Okay. So you should be in a position to recover your data quickly, reliably, with confidence. And that is why we say, please do perform recovery drills. Excuse me. And then you have the cyber resilience to start out with secure backups. Okay, it is not just in one single hand that everything moves on. Cyber resilience is something that would trigger with secure backups against any threats. It could be a ransomware or whatever it is. You can secure your data, secure your architecture from ransomware or any threats around the globe. So when you're able to manage that, you are literally able to manage your compliance with cyber resilience. Okay. Operational readiness is very important. Yeah, obviously continuous monitoring, that is very important. So you have to have continuous monitoring and a proactive alerting to improve confidence during audits and cyber incidents. If there is an incident happening, you should have it alerted before, and you should perform the next step of action should be with the ready next step of action to ensure that you are back into the business. Okay. So visibility is something which is important, not the visibility of the data what you have taken a backup. It is like visibility of what is happening at the back end in your backup solution. That is very important, because that is where your accountability comes in. So compliance requires visibility. Any compliance auditor who visits you, he'll request for the logs, reports, and details that is his first mode of go through. Okay. And all of this would be supported with the BDRShield, as that is what we etched this product while developing it. Okay. Now, before I conclude, there is a conclusion slide that we are nearing. I'll show you a small detailing as well. So before I conclude, I want to talk about one single point. Your compliance readiness is not just achieved by purchasing a backup solution. This point is very important, my dear friend. Okay, compliance is not achieved by purchasing or pursuing a backup solution. It is achieved by the right process, policies, and technologies that you adapt. Okay. So in this, you can see a slide or picture, pie diagram, which says the policies of the organization is very important, and how you process it comes into the next stage. Okay. And the technology is the third one. Now, if you're taking this data protection or backup solution, all these will fall under the technology category. Okay. So with this technology, I'm able to satisfy your requirements. So policies is very important. You have to define the policies, ensure that your processes are good, and the technology to ensure all these comes in. Okay. That is where the backup solution comes in, and that will ensure the security of your data. That when your data is secured, it will give you a business resilience. Then your compliance, then you become a compliance ready organization, and that will secure your people trust. Oh, this is a round chart, it's a cycle chart. So obviously, organization should come up with your proper policies, and then they need to process it with the technology. So as you could see, technology is the one that enables the compliance. So the compliance will start from this phase after the technology. So the technology is a major one that will ensure that your data is compliant. Your backup, you are complying with the international standards. Okay. So in this case, BDRShield is going to be your foundational technology that helps organizations to protect data strengthen the cyber resilience, and helps you to comply with the international standards with a confidence. Okay, that's the conclusion I would like to say. Now, on this note, my dear friends, we can see about a live demo, but we are already running out of time. But I just wanted to give this in detail. Maybe like I can show you the console of mine. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. So people, this is the BDRShield by VMware. This is my on-prem management console. Okay, so I'm just logging in to give you a complete overview. I'm not going much in deep because we can have a head-on-head demo session in which we can detail about the products, but this is my centralized management console. So in this console, I can add my storage, I can add my inventories that I wanted to take a backup of. Here you could see like servers and endpoints. It includes your Windows, Linux, and Mac as well that you can take a backup. You have virtualization hosts that we support, applications of SaaS like Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace that we support, databases, all these are something that we support, NAS and file shares that we support, and cloud workloads like AWS EC2 instance and Azure VMs are something that we support. And you have the repository. Like you can add your local storage, which we call it as block storage. That could be a directly attached storage, or any of your network lives like NAS or SAN can be used. And object storage is more like your own public or private cloud. So it could be a S3 storage, S3 object storage, or it could be your Azure Blob container. It could be your Google Cloud storage, or it could be any of your S3 compatible storages such as MinIO, Blackberries, Wasabi, anything of that sort. Okay, so these are the inventories. Here is where you add all those data. Now here you will be configuring the backup. Now for an small detailing, I'm just showing you one. You can decide where you want to store that data to. So here I'm going to select some host, move forward. I can decide what is the entity that I wanted to take a backup of. Any particular file or folder, that's something that I can select, add, proceed further. What I want to include and what I want to exclude, I can do that over here. And here is this an incremental type of backup. So here you can decide how frequently you want to backup, and this is an automated setup. Okay, so the minimum frequency of RPO is from every 15 minutes that you can schedule the backups. You can run it daily, weekly, monthly, or priority basis. Manually also you can run. And you need any additional full backups in tandem, you can schedule that additional full backup as well. But that's something that we have. And retention part, how long you want to retain your backup data. Even if there is a deleted file, how long you want to retain that deleted file in your storage. This for the file and folder level. Whereas for an image level backup, let's take a virtual machine backup. Let's go to a virtual machine backup for that instance. Okay, now proceeding further, I'm choosing any particular virtual machine, either at a host level or whatever it is. I can exclude any disk. I can ensure the application availability, like application aware processing, or if there is any applications running on it. And then here again, the frequency of the backup, it's again 15 minutes for this image level backups as well. You can have additional full backups. You can also have synthetic full backups. And then here your retention, like you can decide how many, there's basic retention as well as GFS retention. How many full backups you want to retain for how long period, or incremental backups, how long you want to retain, or the basic retention. If I want to go with 30 days, I can just go with 30 days with minimum versions to be kept. So all these are something, and your data is encrypted already. If you want to add a custom password over that encrypted data, you can use this up. Okay, so that is one. And then the summary page. So this is where you see it allows you to have your own RPO and RTO with the frequency of retention that you can set. And you can have multiple copies of your data. Like you can have a backup copy and in a different storage medium. You You can also have an offsite copy. You can have a tape archive. So this for the archival copy. So this is only supported for image level backups as of now, and we support this to tape model. See, not directly writing to a tape would ensure proper compliance, okay? Because a tape is only for the archival purpose. So we help you to write the primary copy of your data to a local storage, and then a copy of that data can be sent as an archive copy to a tape. That tape could be a standalone or an auto-loaded one. Okay, that's something that we have. And the role-based access control, like users, when you add a user, you can decide either to give a full access or read-only access. That's for the users. Okay, and if you're adding a tenant, so if you're creating a tenant, you're enabling them with web access. When you add a tenant, you can provide read-only privilege or recovery-only access. Okay, that's also something that we have. And we also have two-factor authentication to log into this console. That is something that we have. And reports. My dear friends, you have hell a lot of reports here. Apart from these reports, you also have an intuitive dashboard to continuously monitor all your activities. Hope you could see my dashboard there. So it will give you all the details, like if there is any backup gaps, 2 backups are not successful, you can just click on it to see what was not successful and what all has been successful. That details are also shown here. What is the infrastructure that you have added, how much storage that has been occupied, what is the original size of the data, what is the compressed size that has been occupied in your storage, that is shown here. Last 24 hours of backup activities shown here, and you have the top usage, which backup job is consuming a lot. That details is also seen here. Okay, this is an intuitive dashboard for continuous monitoring. But this report, this will give you an auditor reference. Like you can even download these reports for your internal audit purpose. You can set an email notification for this. Here it will give you what is the thing that you have taken, like if there is any failures or if there is any successful things, or this is a full backup, then comes an incremental. So what all the data that you have taken a backup, that even the, if it is a file backup, you can see what all the files that is being taken a backup in this schedule. What is the original size of the file, and what is the compressed size, what is the size reduction, what is the start time, end time. This is more than enough, okay, for an auditing purpose. Now this you can even see it in a calendar view. So if I'm going to switch it in a calendar view, it is going to give you the calendar view of detail, like all these backup, it has been done, this was a failure. You can see why that failure has been done. If there is any missed backup schedule, it will be showing you here. So like this, you can see for all the entities, if there is any backup copy, you can also check the backup copy status, recovery status. If you have done any recovery, you can check the recovery status, retention. So what is the retention status? What has happened so far? All that retention status can also be seen here. There is any deleted reports, even that deleted details can be seen here. Offsite copy, if something has been replicated, that replicated details can also be seen here. It can be downloaded as report. Data integrity. So to enable data integrity, we have something called as, integrity check. So you can enable this integrity check. What happens is it'll you can see when you enable integrity check, you can choose in which hypervisor you want to boot the data. Okay, so automatically at the scheduled time, okay, like run every one day, like 24 hours, it'll mount the data, boot the data, it'll take the screenshot of the data and have it up in the integrity report. Okay, so you can ensure the mount check, boot check, as well as the integrity check of the backup data that you have configured when you enable this. And audit logs, so you can enable email alerts, notifications are there. You also have integrity with PSA tools like ConnectWise, ticketing, and Autotask, and audit logs. Here you can see who has logged into the console at what time, is he an admin, or like what is the process that was initiated. All those are logged here. So literally this will give you a clear attitude for the compliance auditor to see what is happening. Okay, and recovery, if you just go to recover your data, if, for example, if I want to recover this particular VM, I literally have multiple recovery options. I don't have to rely on one. I have instant recoveries, a disk mount, and instant boot VM are instant recovery options, which ensures an RTO less than 15 minutes. I have full VM recovery. I have disk level recovery. Any particular disk I can restore. I can even perform cross-platform migration. Like choose a timestamp here based on your retention. Now this is all in a VMDK format, which I can even download it as a VHD or VHDX, boot it up on a Microsoft environment, VMDK and flat VMDK on my VMware environment, and raw format for my KVM environment. So I can just bring it up however I want. I can perform a file or folder level recovery. If there is any Microsoft application that is running and you have enabled the, the application aware processing while configuring the backup, then obviously you can granularly restore those applications granularly. When you take an image level backup, you have multiple recovery options here. And then you can even recover to Azure, like you can spin it up as a virtual machine in an Azure as well. Okay. So all these are available with you. Okay. This will provide you with multiple options. This BDRShield provides you with multiple options. These options will help you to comply with the international standards. Now, even the, we were talking about immutability. So if you're adding something like S3 or S3 compatible, you can enable the immutability feature. Okay, so you can enable the immutability feature, ensuring that your data is more than secure. So this is without restoring your data from this console. You can't, no one can try restoring your data. That's the major one here. Okay, you can't directly restore it. You have to restore it only from this console, and you can add only a set of users. And we support all these workloads: SaaS servers and endpoints, SaaS applications, virtualization hosts, databases, cloud workload. All these are supported. Whatever the thing that you don't need, you can just uncheck it. That's it. Okay. So this is what the BDRShield hides for you and provides you to help you comply with the international standards. Okay, so that's something that we need to talk upon now. My dear friends, I'm coming back to the question and answers. I just gave you a short live overview of what we have hidden in our product. Now I'm opening the Q&A session for you. Now, if you have any questions, you can just drop down in the Q&A box that comes up, because I have my team to answer that. Thank you so much, people. It was wonderful to have you all, ladies and gentlemen, for this session. Now, I have to say goodbye for this. And thank you so much for joining. So always keep a note. So that's something that I wanted to keep you again informed of. That's something that again I wanted to point out. Just give me 1 minute. I wanted to talk about that before we go thing. Okay, this one. This compliance is not achieved by purchasing a backup solutions, my dear friends. It is achieved only by implementing the right process, policies, and technology. So the backup solution will fall under the technology category. Okay, that will, in order, secure your data, ensures business resilience, and helps you to comply with the international standards. So that is very, very important. So I just wanted to give that heads up before we, say goodbye to each other. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in this session. I could say that BDRShield will help you to be a compliance ready, to meet your compliances. Okay, so you can always stay connected with us through our website, because all the updates can be checked through our website. And even the recording of this session will be available in another 48 hours in our website. If you want, you can just reach out. And all those people who have asked for the Q&A, those whom we have not answered, we'll be sending an email to each of you to answer those. You can also reach out to us through our email, like bdr-support@ rainbow.com. So that's something that you can reach out to us to. And we have a WhatsApp. So you can reach out to this number, 93453948821. So you can always reach out either through an email or a WhatsApp. Our fellow men are there to guide you through. So this presentation is a sort of information. The webinar is only for an educational purpose. So that's something that I wanted to mention before I say goodbye to you all. Thank you so much. This is again Pranav signing off. It was a wonderful session with all you guys. Thank you so much once again.